Hi, welcome everyone. This is the second episode that we will be doing on the planet of Krosa. So let's give a quick update of what happened last time. Who would like to start off?
I'll do it.
What a surprise.
You're welcome.
I volunteer Rusty as well.
So, having run afoul of some station security back at Absalom Station, we were offered, and it was strongly requested that it would be wise to accept, kind of the patronage of the Starfinder Society as a way to get off station and make ourselves useful to the people of the core worlds. And so we were given a lovely new ship with a lovely onboard AI, and we were sent on our merry way to investigate a mysterious mental malady that had lain low some Starfinder Society members and also nominally all the people of a world. So whatever, it's a little something to do. And so we piled into our ship and flew our way here. And we're trying to get to the bottom of what is driving people crazy pants. So we landed in one hemisphere, which has been kind of traditionally at war with the other. Two huge land masses on this windy planet that's got kind of a harsh environment and a sturdy, hard-working people. And we know that this mysterious mental ailment is affecting everybody of like one continent, one nation. We think we got maybe some weird, almost druidic vibes, and that one of the people driven mad by it had like visions of this tree blowing in the wind, and we know that kind of fits into their mythology a little bit. So we're trying to track that down. And the big step we took was to go check out the other country. Like, let's go see what's going on there. Let's see if they're also affected. We're probably all harboring some out-of-character suspicions. If we've got two nations that are traditionally at war and some terrible curse is hitting one, odds are good that somebody's up to no good on the other landmass. But we're keeping those cards close to our chest, and we're just going to kind of go investigate for now, because there's been no contact between the two sides. So for all we know, like, everybody on landmass B is dead, or was already driven mad and killed themselves and stuff. So we're going to go check that out, and just kind of see what's what, and try to find out what the Starfinder Society can do to help these people.
I do know that as we were ending last time, we were landing. And one of the things that we did notice on our approach to, I think it's Risa, they have the same kind of power systems as the Yolanarans over on the other side of the world. And the big difference is that there doesn't seem to be any fires or other disturbances on this side so far.
Mm-hmm.
So things certainly look at least more peaceful and organized and less chaotic and curse-riddled. But yeah, we basically wrapped up with like that cool slow motion shot of the ramp coming down and the team preparing to disembark.
Yep, exactly. So that's where we are. We're at the starport in Risa, and I'd like to start out with everyone making a willpower check.
Willpower.
That's always fun.
Yeah, that doesn't bode well.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's no big deal.
I wouldn't worry about it.
These are just random rolls. I could have said anything. It just happened to be willpower.
All right, well, I'm content. I rolled a 19, which gives me a whopping 23.
Okay. You like to think that would be adequate.
I got a 6 altogether.
That was my total.
Sparks did. So both of you have a total of 6.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you both roll natural ones?
No,
I did.
3.
Okay. I thought it was both natural ones, and I was like, great. We're getting out of our system, at least. That's what we'll tell ourselves. These absolutely coincidental and innocent will saves that are going to have no terrible cumulative effect over time or anything.
Now, what, she write it down?
Yeah, we're good.
She's getting out of her system.
Notes. It was my hand needed to do something to decramp. Yeah, so you land and the ramp lowers and there is a Kroos in there. There's a guy. He looks like the other few Krosan citizens you've seen before. He's kind of wearing a different colors than over on Yalinar's side. This one's some reds and some greens and blue as highlights.
Is it windy here as well?
Oh yes, yeah. It is just as windy here. It's like it does make it a little bit difficult to move around without sort of staggering a bit to catch yourself.
Wind got your mic there for a minute.
Yeah, I did notice. I did repeat what I said as I noticed my system hiccuped. So yeah, Belasco, we do need a willpower check from you. Very good. Okay.
15.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, like I said, there's a guy standing kind of in front of a building, waiting for you to approach.
Zan will step down the ramp, kind of planting boots, nice and wide stance in front of the gentleman, hair and robes blowing in the wind, trying to hear over it. Mouthing something, but nobody can hear it.
Combat armor training, relative lack of that stuff. Also trying to make for sport. Reflecting near us. So he will make his way towards the gentleman in question, and then he will just holler and say hello and wait to see how well the guy can hear.
Okay, well, it looks a little more peaceful here. I'm gonna yell.
Okay. So he kind of leans in a little bit, like he's trying to understand what you said. Okay.
Man, this wind is awful.
Yeah, wow.
That is some crazy wind.
Someone's hacking the frequency.
Damn
I think
answers.
I think I knew what drove them insane.
Looks like we almost have everyone back.
It looks like the stream boss is trying to destroy your connection, folks. What are you gonna do?
Bad stream boss.
Fun.
Okay.
So
all right, so we're all here.
basically
Good. All right, good. So yeah, the guy kind of leans in to try to understand what you're saying, but then he just motions you all to come in, like, and then kind of points towards the door. It's like motioning to come in.
All right.
Carefully make our way there. I am
Grabbing the tip of my hood, pressing through the wind.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll follow.
All right.
Yeah.
As you make your way inside, make a perception check, please. So the inside's brightly lit. The sound is a lot more dampened. The wind is all outside, of course.
27.
Yeah, Thane will power down the holograph display on his helmet. We established he kind of has this impressive pseudo Greek crest type of thing, and he'll just doop doop, and the helmet will power down to something normal once he gets inside. All the electronics turn off and the faceplate's a little more open and friendly. And he rolled a 16 on that perception roll.
Sparks rolled a 2 and got a face full of dust.
Excellent. Okay, so
Belasco's got a gas. He's got that gas mask on. Before, I don't think he wants anybody to know he's drow, even though how would they know or care what that means? But he's still got it on because he doesn't want to get crazy sick. But it's got glowing green eye receptors, which are zzz, ding, zzz, ding. And I rolled a friggin' 27 on that perception, nice. So them's good goggles.
Yeah. You notice that there's so the things around you, the things I mentioned previously about there's not really any chaos going around. Things seem to be pretty much in order here, but you do seem to think that this person and there's another person inside who's kind of working at a desk seem maybe a little bit there's something that has them on edge, but it could be anything. It could just be a cultural difference. You're not really sure what's going on, but they don't seem as relaxed as the Yalinars. And that's even considering the disasters that were going on in Yalinar. I mean, so these persons are a little bit more professional about it. They're not freaking out or anything, but your experience with around
unsettled people.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good way to phrase that. Gives you that very distinct impression from them that they're unsettled. Zan, you notice something different as you're entering. Oh, never mind.
Or he is suddenly blown away.
All right. So when Zan comes back, I'll describe something for his character.
He's doing an unsettle.
Mm-hmm. That's completely fine.
But we hope to make up for our technical lack of quality with content quality.
All right, so the guy that greeted you outside is in. He says, "Hi, I'm Balar. What brings you to Risa?"
Hello, Balar. I am Caligos Thane of the Starfinder Society. My friends and I are here to help. We understand this planet has problems.
He gives you an quizzical type of an expression, kind of, and says, I'm sorry? I don't follow."
There was a prior crew from the Starfinder Society visiting here with the Yulinarans. They have been afflicted by something awful, and it seems to be spreading. We are here to help the people of Risa if you are also having these problems.
Oh, I'm sorry that they seem to be having trouble. We don't have anything like that here. What exactly did you say is going on?
A madness.
A madness. Let me pause for just a second and rewind to the perception check. Zan, as you were walking in a second story window to this small building, you noticed a face kind of looking down on you all as you were walking in. It's a very elongated face, very bony and sort of not very fleshy. So its cheeks are kind of like cut in and very sort of dark complexion, not like Belasco dark, but just kind of like very shadowy and sort of menacing, glaring at you as you go in. It's a very sinister sort of look to it.
I'll comment under my breath. We're being watched.
Silent comms. Copy.
All right, so we'll go ahead and rejoin the conversation inside.
Indeed. And in recent weeks, they seem to have been afflicted by some terrible disease of the mind, and it seems to be spreading.
That's
there's
awful.
There's all manner of chaos across their land, fires and deaths. How have your people not heard of this?
I don't know. That's a great question. Well, I mean, normally communication between our empires is rather slow due to the nature of travel. So I'm not terribly surprised that news hasn't reached us yet. Have you actually been there? You
Yes.
have.
Which
Oh, his face gets a little bit white. He's like, "Are you contagious? Are you bringing this disease here?"
Don't worry.
You tell us.
it appears to be less physical in nature and more mental, and we are unafflicted.
Forgive me, but we're a little fatigued from our journey. Might we impose upon you for a place to rest?
Sure. What are you looking for? A place to sleep? Some food, perhaps?
Oh, food and a place to sit would be most appreciated.
Okay. Why don't you just wait right here, and I will make sure that we can get a guide to go with you so that you can communicate effectively. Just wait right here. Let me go and make some arrangements.
Thank you. Private
And-
comm. If we're being Zen, you apparently can see something the rest of us can't. Maybe it's only in this room. Let's see if we can talk to them somewhere else.
Yeah, so it was observing us through one of the windows as we came in. Got a bad feeling about him. Got a bad feeling with this whole place, actually.
So Ballard walks over to the other guy that's sort of at the counter, and then you hear some like a keyboard type sounds, and then they're having a conversation in a language that you don't really understand. And then Ballard walks off and exits the room behind the counter.
Can I make a physical sciences roll to see if there's like just a full reading of everything in here, maybe sonics or something like that might be influencing them?
Sure. And by influencing, do you mean like related to the disease, the malady that's going around? Or did you just mean anything else?
I think if we can gather data and we can run it through a number of different things, like maybe it's what's driving them crazy, or maybe it's a signal different in here from somewhere else with whatever Zan is seeing, something like that.
Okay, sure, absolutely. You go ahead and make a roll. Do you have like some sort of like a tricorder-esque sort of a sense?
You know, I've been asking that question for months, and apparently there is no such thing. So I'm just rolling physical sciences and
I don't
assuming.
see why a device like that wouldn't exist of some nature.
Yeah.
They have
so
data pads, which is what I've got.
I rolled a 26. I've got a computer, which apparently is everything. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. You get things like a barometric pressure here is you get readings that are fairly similar to what you might have seen over on Yalinar. There really aren't differences necessarily. There's a little bit less radioactivity going on, like in the frequency scan that goes on. A bit less activity, and that could be from a number of different reasons.
All right. Well, I'll keep gathering data so we can have like a cross-reference later, see if there's differences that stand out to us.
Mm-hmm.
Thane will give a careless and broad-shouldered shrug in regards to the conversation of us being watched, and just go, a starship landing on this planet seems rather noteworthy. Of course we're being watched. As a means of also buying you time to keep on doing your stuff.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Well, let's keep it on private comms for the moment if we can.
Good idea.
Dude.
All right, so after a few moments, Balar comes back and he says, very well. I've arranged a private room at I think you call them tea house. It is very near here. We'll go there now.
I like tea.
Excellent, thank you.
I'm still cleaning dirt out of my whiskers.
Before we go to this tea house, I have not meditated in some time. Is there a sacred place around here? Maybe something that your people hold holy or holy?
Yeah, we can go to a temple. It is not too far from the tea house.
Yes, please.
Would you rather go there first or after your meal?
After's fine.
Very well. All right, so he sort of leads you out down some stairs and then out the main door on leading towards the main street. And then all around you is buildings of medium height between 3 and 5 stories, all of which have the standard windmills and wind turbines to generate power for the buildings and other things going around. There are some vehicles on the surface streets, kind of similar to some old models you might have seen in some of the history type of data pads and things like that in the archives, but definitely much different and much louder, as these are sort of make use of some different kinds of fuels than you're used to.
Do these vehicles look like they may be government or military issue, armored, that kind of thing? In general, no. Most of them don't seem like they have weapons attached at all. They sort of seem like general civilian type vehicles. Okay.
But once again, you're sort of pelted by the high winds, and it's definitely a very difficult time moving forward, whereas Balar seems to have a less difficult time than you, although you're pretty sure it's still not the easiest of treks for him as well. Would you mind all making another willpower check?
Yes, actually, I would.
Okay, I can mark you down as failed this non-specific willpower check then.
I got a
14.
I'm sorry, who had a 14?
Right here.
Okay. And then
16.
16.
I got a 16.
Okay. Very well.
I got another 6.
Excellent.
Is it though?
Is it
I mean,
really?
it's something. It's a number, right?
Like, clearly, that just means they're difficulty 5. The whole thing's just a formality. That's
Oh, good.
Yay! It's not cumulative.
Zan, you happen to remember that face that you saw in the window previously, and you take a quick glance back, and it's in another window looking at you.
All right, over the kind of private comms, I'm going to say 12 o'clock, facing the window. Same guy who was staring at us earlier.
Glance over.
Right as you start saying that, Zan, the face kind of ducks away, and by the time anyone else turns to look, there's nothing there.
And you guys see the fellow face, right?
Maybe it's your special Solarian powers.
you see the big hollow frill on top of Thane's helmet kind of shake side to side.
Well, was I glowing? If I wasn't glowing, then I may be seeing things.
Maybe that's how it starts.
Oh no!
Oh, lovely. I will let you know if I see the face anymore, but I think I may be falling to this disease.
The
Let's
opposite
not borrow
of
trouble.
the opposite of insanity is a lack of reason. Just stay reasonable.
Yeah, okay. We can do this.
All right, so you all manage to continue walking along with your guide, and there's some nice sculptures of famous Crosons that you have no idea who they are or anything, but they're just nice sculptures along your walk. There's some a sculpture of some pipes that play sounds like whistles. Depending upon the direction the wind's blowing and the strength, it kind of changes the pitch. And it's kind of melodic, but definitely not exactly a sound that you're used to hearing. So it's kind of a little bit, maybe too much is the right phrase. It's very sort of droning and just sort of permeates your brain.
Like, how can we take this howling wind and make it howlier?
Makes my whiskers tremble.
Oh, they have a theme.
And eventually, about 20 minutes of walking, and you get to this building, and Balar opens the door for you all.
Thane will stand in the doorway and kind of usher other people in.
Let's hope tea is a euphemism for some sort of whiskey.
All right, so on the inside, you see a lot of tapestry type things hanging on the walls. There's some sort of fancy and intricate carpet, and you can smell incense in the room burning. And there's a handful of patrons around, kind of drinking some liquids. Some of them are eating some sort of sandwiches or bread type items. And then Balar waves to someone that he seems to recognize, and then leads you over to a side room.
Is everybody here human?
In your party?
In the room.
Oh no! Everyone here is Croson.
So yeah,
Sorry, they're all the same type.
yeah, they're all native to this planet. Yeah.
So yeah, I think we established that they're kind of genetically human, probably, but they'd evolved over time, so they're kind of halfway to what we would consider a fantasy dwarf. They just tend to be kind of short and stocky and broad, and far more accustomed to these winds than we are, where even our short one, our Yosoki, is still made of like flappy wind-catching parts and tails and whiskers and fur and cloaks.
Go away.
So but it is probably really interesting to us as Absalom Station and or well-traveled folk, to see a world where like everybody is one species. It's probably a little
Yep, precisely.
So as soon as we're inside again, Thane will reach up and power down that like environmental seal, which is also the like holograph effect, and his armor, the faceplate will flicker out and he looks all open and friendly again, and his little antenna flicker up curiously, and he gives like friendly little nods and smiles to whoever's in the building. Just like our local guide seems to know people, Thane goes like, "Oh hey," and it does like the same little hello nod, like he knows everybody too.
The people that do look in your general direction kind of give you an interesting look. They're not really used to seeing people from off the planet, you would guess, and so they kind of are looking at you with like wide eyes and just trying to like sort of like drink you in with their eyes and get a sense of who you all are as you go past.
Thane's used to that.
Like a crazy person would.
Like a crazy person.
Not trusting my own senses, I'm going to hurry into the room.
Poor Zan.
All right, so when you're in the room, Balar kind of explains a little bit like, there are teas here, there are herbs that, used to infuse water with flavor and aroma. There's also some very spiked versions of this for any of you who are interested in trying a specialty of Risa.
2, please.
Yes. And then he offers some like cakes and things that are typically served with them, generally made with like root vegetables and those sorts of things. He tries to describe them to you, but basically just ends up sounding like root vegetables that are spiced with some aromatics and baked.
We'll have a lot of everything. We're tourists.
Yeah, Thane will make mental notes of the names of each one. So, because you never know, the next time you're going to wander into a store or restaurant and want to know what to order. So, like, he catalogs, each little one. And he will also compliment this kindly gentleman on his common, just during the process of talking it over and learning the name of this root pastry versus this spice that's in the tea, and also this other pastry. And they go, "Thank you." And by the way, your grasp of the common trade tongue is excellent.
Well, thank you. I've made it a point of pride to learn a language that the majority of our visitors also speak.
Have you had many visitors?
We've had some visitors over time. I don't know. It's not infrequent, maybe one every 10 days or so for the past couple years.
Indeed, our records show that first contact was about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Well done with picking up a language in such a time with such infrequent visits.
Well, to my benefit, we had a long-term visitor trying to set up relations with us. So there was plenty of time for me to learn. And I guess I'm a quick learner, so it's been really nice.
Hey, so all this food is grown planet-side?
Yes, it is, actually.
Like the old-fashioned way?
I don't know what that means.
Cool.
Grown in the
very
ground.
diplomatically. Yes.
I'm not used to this.
These are grown in the grounds. We do most of our farming in greenhouses, and some of the root vegetables can actually be grown underground, as it were.
Yeah, because the
Wow.
that's fascinating.
This long-term visitor, who were they?
They were the Piscatorians. They stayed for a few of our months as they were setting up negotiations and diplomacy.
Right. I remember finding that in my report now. Out of character, it can't hurt to find out if somebody was like setting up a cult or something too. Like we knew somebody was doing trade, but yeah,
Harsh.
What do we know about in character? What do we know about this species who contacted them?
The Piscatorians.
Well, that sounds like a perfect thing for a culture check.
Yay!
And
I don't have any of that.
I rolled a 21, and I do get that special -5 difficulty from a Tempered Pilgrim theme. -5 difficulty for knowing customs and relations and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a vague, descriptor. But yeah, so 21, potentially a 26.
I rolled a natural 20, which I wasted on this, I think, because I have no modifier to it, and Rusty got higher than me.
Okay.
It's trained only, so I can't make a roll.
No. You can still make the roll, and you still get your intelligence, as far as I recall.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, you should be able to make an untrained check. This is just whether or not like you're familiar with them.
I rolled a 9, so it's not spectacular.
Why doesn't everyone, in the meantime, while I describe what you know, make another willpower check for me? Sparks, you're not familiar with this species at all.
3. I rolled the same thing in every one of these.
I got a 15 total.
Okay. So about the Piscatorians, this is a relatively new species to be encountered by the Pact Worlds and their envoys out. They are known for very expansionist types of exploration. That was redundant. They like to explore and sort of make outposts and expand their empire. They're very centered on growing their territory. And sorry, what was that?
Nothing. I don't know. You're telling them what they know. I'll ask my question.
When they do their expansion, are they known to be very militaristic? They show up with a fleet, or do they get their way other means?
From what you know, they're not renowned for large-scale invasion fleets. So it would seem that they prefer other methods. Still, most of this knowledge is pretty obscure, a little bit hearsay as well. They are not native to like anywhere in the inner ring of planets. They're sort of mostly scattered in some further reaches of the galaxy.
Are they the flavor of mercantile expansionist colonialists that my chaotic good equality for all worshiper of Waydan type should frown upon? Like, are they East India Trade Company type of mothers, or what are we talking about here?
You get the sense that they do maybe a little bit of those practices, but things are sort of said in a sense that they have some underhanded techniques. They have a good way of words and making deals to their advantage in order to create situations where they end up on top of the deal and eventually can apply that influence to gain control of planets, space stations, colonies, things like that.
Right, so, but are they don't, like, what about, like, some of the more, like, slave trade,
sorry, that's what you meant.
Yeah, like, I already expect that they're going to be brutal and underhanded and manipulate the locals with technological advantages, but it's kind of like on a scale of, like, 1 to 10, like, just how super dickish do they take it? You know what I'm saying?
So this is probably something that's not very well known yet about them. Some people, like, there's some rumors that you've heard about them taking slaves, but it could be a little bit more slanderous because you don't know if the information maybe came from some of the people who might have had their homes taken by this race, or you don't know how truthful some of the information is.
Right. So it could be kind of a... Also, there are rumors that there are some slaves and some very bad practices that this race employs. All right, so potentially some kind of indentured servitude, some strip mining an area and wrecking the environment, just like stuff that's not great. So, all right, Thane does not think terribly well.
I'm gonna give Thane a knowing look.
Okay. So the meal goes well. The cakes are surprisingly sweet, despite the heavy spice aroma that you get from it, and it's very tasty. And it goes very well with the tea that is served, and it's a very enjoyable experience to kind of see some of the local culture.
Yeah, and like I said, Thane will totally be, soaking that up. Like, he's all about culture and tasting plates and wine samples and, this tea and stuff. But you know what I mean? Like, he's like, yeah, absolutely. He's all about eating the finger foods and enjoying the appetizers and, learning the one that he likes so he can name drop it later if we wander into another tea house anywhere in this planet where people aren't going crazy. He loves being able to order his own food in their own language. He'll try to pick up that phrase, backsy fortsy, with our local guide. That's how Thane rolls.
It's what he does. I just eat it because I like yummy stuff.
Well, this is very good stuff indeed.
Thane might only have 9 languages on his character sheet.
Oh.
But he can order finger food in 27.
That's a skill everyone needs to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, tapas and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, he will, will maintain, pleasant small talk. We pumped for a little bit of information there, kind of confirming that longer term influence. Then we'll just be prepared to politely wrap up and let Zan do what he wants to do at this temple. So after a while, when everyone's kind of had their fill, Thane will kind of politely steer it back towards the temple thing with in some cultures, teas and other shared communal drinks are played into religious ceremonies, and we know very little of the faith of your people. Perhaps we might visit this temple.
Ah, yes. I'd be happy to take you there.
Please do.
Okay. So if you leave and you're out walking, it's a very short walk from this point. It's about, I don't know, maybe a quarter mile away, and gives you some time to sort of enjoy the warmth that the boozed up tea provided. And before you know, you've arrived, and the magnificent building. This one doesn't have any of the windmills on top of it, but it has a really nice domed structure with some very pretty murals that are painted onto it. You see lots of willow trees and paintings of what are probably well-known Croson individuals, probably related somehow to the religion, but you don't really know any of it. There's text that kind of go like around it, probably giving name and brief stories or things like that, but you can't read it, obviously.
Do we see that tree anywhere?
Yeah, the willow tree. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely all over the place. It's on the front doors. It's huge, painted over the rounded archway above the entire building.
I'm going to ask our guide, what does the tree represent exactly?
Oh, the willow tree is a very sacred tree in Croson society. It's a very representative of the teachings that we give in order to live a good and wholesome and upstanding life. It's about how the wind is always ever present, and it's always blowing up against you, trying to push you in one direction, and it may not be a very good direction, and it always leads to temptations and doing bad things. However, if you can stay strong and solid, just like the willow tree, where it's going to blow you sometimes, but if you kind of just bend with it and don't break, you're going to be a very benevolent person. You're going to be humble, and you're going to make it through those difficult times. And it's something that we all aspire to in our society.
That sounds
really like that
yielding to
philosophy.
temptation.
Well, no, of course it's not yielding to temptation. It's resisting it and letting it. It's being strong in the face of it.
I would like to. Can I call up my comprehend languages spell and use that here to look at some of the writings?
Oh yeah,
Good
absolutely.
idea.
I just want to make sure that what we're getting from our guides is what I'm getting also from.
Okay.
And if there are any pads, like data pads, or a book, a holy book, I would love to pick it up and flip through it.
Yeah. So you can. That's not a problem. You can read some of the names on the murals that are on the walls and the tapestries, and they describe the stories in very brief details about these holy people. There's one that was known for helping to heal the sick and wounded. Some of them are heroes in the great wars against the Yalorans, and stories kind of related to that. There's a holy book spread around that gives sort of the texts of the religion. The god of the winds here is called Samdar,
I'm going to stop the guide at one moment and ask him if the other country follows the same faith.
They do. All of us here on the planet of Krosa follow this faith. Yeah. Yeah, the Samdar's word does not change depending upon which planet or which continent you stand upon.
Indeed.
It does jive with what she was telling us over there.
Your faith has deep roots like the tree.
He gives you a knowing nod.
Can I make another physical sciences roll?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm doing well with the rolls today. 23.
Okay. Yeah, so you're able to like look at the fluctuations a little bit more, and you're noticing the radio frequencies here are there's some very slight differences that at first you don't really realize, but after a couple of sharp ticks kind of grabs your attention a little bit. The signal is weaker than it was previously when you were at the starport, and definitely weaker than it was when you're on Yalaron. But you can definitely see that there's some signals that are a bit lower, even here, than they were before.
Before we leave this building, I would like to check with my detect magic to see if there's any clerical woo-woo going on.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be very woo-woo here, so.
No, there's some magic kind of going on, like sort of in the far, like what some people probably call like the front, like where an altar is. The culture does have some what they call druids that are magically active, and they can do some healing type things, blessing of water and other type things, and so you get a lot of very holy and rejuvenation type of
stuff that makes sense based on the way they described it.
Yeah, it's definitely stuff that all would make sense for this type of environment. It's not like they're telling you all about like holiness and such, and you get a lot of like death and decay from this. It definitely falls in line with what they're suggesting.
Awesome, thank you.
After a few moments of meditation, I'm going to get up and return to the group and just kind of say over our private comms, well, I'm not finding any extra clues here.
Was there something specific that you were looking for?
I wanted to learn more about their religion, see if there's any kind of religious strife or that kind of thing.
So
I feel like
you
I
don't have like
answers.
a way to read through any of their material, do you?
No.
Okay. Well, it's probably easy for you to kind of work with Sparks to kind of look through some of it, with Sparks kind of reading some of it off to you. There's definitely a bit that you're going to understand as propaganda, as some of their stories are very war-centric against Yalaran. So a lot of their heroes have to do with people who've either been victorious in battle or been healing the sick and the wounded. Of course, they have some heroes that aren't related to war at all, just general, good people helping the regular citizenry. But there's definitely a vibe of militaristic and stories that you get that probably a strict reading of the text doesn't necessarily condone or at least play up. So there's you definitely get a sense that they revere a lot of the people throughout their history that have helped them militaristically.
Okay, understood. I was mostly curious if they would refer to others as heretics, that kind of thing, but it does not.
I look up from the book and I look at Valar and I'm like, so if this religion is the same across the planet, why do you guys fight so much?
Not all wars are based on faith.
But it's written in their faith books.
Well, Samdar doesn't have too much to speak of about wars, but there's something to be said for holding your ground and not letting aggressors make you weak and well, maybe it's probably best not to get too much into the politics of our world.
Politics.
Of course.
A shame. From the outside, you all appear to be the same tree, and a tree that tears itself apart by the roots cannot live.
Yeah, perhaps there's some great wisdom there.
This tea is excellent.
Well, I for one, am definitely hoping that our current peace lasts for many, many generations to come.
Is there anything we're following? Is there any way we can follow up on this radio signal?
Yeah, I was trying to get us to disengage.
So we can definitely do that. And I want to pause for 1 second to acknowledge that I have the pleasure of being awarded a GM token. I will definitely make sure to use very soon to
bring us a challenge.
Yeah, so actually, in light of that, let's right now do another willpower save for no reason whatsoever.
19.
Using the GM token, the save for various reasons might happen to be maybe slightly more difficult than
22 this time.
I'm sorry, I heard 22 for Zan, 17 for Sparks.
18 for Thane.
18 for Thane.
19 for Belasco.
Yeah, those are some all very good rolls. Let me just make some notes about this, however.
My last one was a 13. I didn't say it out loud because we were still going.
Okay.
But Erica's like, those are some good rolls. It would be too bad if the difficulty class of this save was 30.
Slowly writes out U R F U C. Huh?
What?
Oh no, I would never do something like that. You have nothing to worry about.
Oh,
so
shame.
After
the GM's smiling. The GM's smiling.
Yeah, it's never a good time when I'm having a good time. Right.
After he mentions that he hopes that this peace will last, some little toast that we learned during the tea thing, like an all drink to that kind of good-natured thing. Thane will be like, slench it to that with just kind of an empty hand. Between this newfound peace between your people and contact with other races, I'm sure that a new era of prosperity is dawning for your world. I wonder, as we have now sampled many of your tasty delicacies and learned more about your faith, is it all right if we just explore a little? We would like to walk around and see more of your people with our own eyes.
Absolutely. There's a nearby market that might be interesting to go look at. There's also some museums. There is, there's actually a sporting event going on. If you'd like to go and see that.
That'll tell you a lot about the society.
Yeah, Thane looks unironically enthusiastic at all of those options, but he nods along and is making mental notes. Yes, those all sound fantastic. just see where our feet carry us, I think. And then I will nod for Belasco to lead the way, and we can follow his sensors and just look like we're exploring.
All right, so as you're sort of leading on, Balar kind of takes a position kind of more to the back of your group, just kind of letting you go as you wish.
Thane will kind of drift towards the back with him, and in as much as we can, try to keep up a bit of a conversation, just like, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? And like pointing out the nearest like impressive or interesting buildings, which kind of keeps this guy in the back of the party and distracted, while the more professional and paranoid party members can lead the way. So I'm not like straight up deceiving him, because Thane really does kind of want to know what that is, but yeah, he'll definitely be a distraction.
Do you want to make a social skill test of your choice to sort of interact with him and sort of distract him?
I absolutely do want to make a social skill choice of mine.
Which
he
one?
always wants to do that.
We're going to go with diplomacy.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. So I rolled a 16, and that gets bumped up to a 26 by my skill ranks, but I've got that envoy trick that lets me add 1d6 to it. So it goes from a 26 to an even...
To an even 30, you say?
Indeed, using my envoy skill expertise.
Okay. Yeah, you have a really great conversation about the buildings, the architecture, why they're built as they are, some of the cultural aspects of where people live. I said last session, but the more wealthier people tend to live on the first floor of the building, and as you go higher, you get to the less well-off people in the buildings, and so it kind of gives some history of like what this building is and what's there, some of the businesses that are associated with it. And this guy turns into the full-on tour guy mode that his training was given to him. So he's just going on and on about all these different things.
And it also gives Thane a chance to keep on tweaking like the environmental controls in his armor that's kind of built in. So he gets to practice with like setting up his sensors and his speakers and stuff to make sure that he's going to be good at, listening to people talk and hollering stuff over the winds. So it's a practice for Thane to keep tweaking his heavy armor that way. And he just digs learning that sort of thing. So yeah, he will, as this guy falls into tour guide mode, Thane will seamlessly fall into, a tour mode. And we will absolutely leave the Drow and the Solarian to lead the way with clinical precision and sensors and paranoia and all the other magical things that they bring to the party.
Speaking of which, Dad will place an arm over her forehead to kind of shield the wind and approach Belasco. What is it you're detecting?
So far, errant radio signals. There does seem to be a correlation with location.
Weaker here or stronger?
GM, you tell me.
Make another physical science check as you sort of are tuning in your device and looking for this signal that you can't...
A 17 plus 7 for a nice 24.
Yeah. Yeah, so, you're not too far away from the temple, but the signal is a little bit louder again. Maybe the temple was sort of deadening the signal a bit, blocking it somehow, but maybe not. Maybe it's where you happen to be. It's definitely a little bit stronger in this area. You're starting to think perhaps you might be able to triangulate. Yes, thank you. The signal a little bit, with maybe like one or two more readings, only because it's still a very small signal in comparison to a lot of the other radio frequencies that are going on.
Is there
almost
any way
like it might be pretty far away.
Is there any way to get a decryption or something? Figure out what this signal is?
You think the signal might have to be a little bit stronger for you to actually start decrypting it? You're just barely able to pick it apart from some of the noise that's out there in the world.
Does it seem... I don't want to metagame, so does it seem like a suspicious signal for some reason, or is it just a lower frequency? There's nothing inherently weird about a channel being...
So the reason why I even brought it up to begin with is that there seems to be some sort of repetition to the signal that distinguishes it from noise, which tells you that it's used, like there's something being broadcast on it. It's just hard to distinguish because you're a little bit far away from the signal, if that makes sense.
I turned to Zan. It seems to be some kind of mimetic signal, which could be a signal itself, some kind of alarm or broadcast, but it might also be some kind of underlying hypnagogic. I'm not sure yet, but we could triangulate it if we scout out a little bit further away from the temple.
Well, you should be able to contact the ship from here, see what its sensors pick up. That gives us 2 locations.
That's a good point. Go on my loudspeaker. What do we name our ship again?
Sally's Grace.
Sally.
Or just
Sally.
Grace as the ship,
So just Sally, are you there?
Yes, I was wondering when you guys would contact me again. Things are just fine here on the ship.
Good.
It's really loud. The wind's very loud.
I'm sure. I'm sending you a copy of a signal. See if you can find any particular sources, locations, or stronger variables, anything like that.
Oh wow, this is really noisy. Wait, you mean this little thing here? That little tiny...
This little thing?
Yes.
That little thing? Oh,
that's the one.
Well, over here it's it's about 15.78% stronger.
Can you find
But
any
it's
other
still small.
locations?
Well, I mean, I'm only right here. Other locations. Locations. Let me see. So she thinks about it for a little bit. Let me make a skill check for Sally. Okay. Based upon what I see here and your data from those viewpoints, I think somewhere over on Yalaran, there's a. I think it's coming from over there.
I see.
But I don't know. This is a really small signal. It just keeps happening over and over again.
Try to see if you can amplify, descramble, decrypt, whatever you can. Take your time with this.
Okay. It could take me anywhere from 8 minutes and 36 seconds if it's like this exact one signal that I saw one time back in on Absalon Station. But it's probably not that one. It's probably a lot more complicated, and it could take me like an hour. But maybe not that one. I don't know. We'll see.
Cross-reference it with the records of sensors taken from the previous expedition ship. We're going to go over to Yalaran. We're going to try to get to Yalaran and see if we can get a closer sample.
That's a great idea.
And warm up the engines.
Yes, prepare for our arrival.
Yes. Very well.
Turn to the others. We should return to the ship.
Thank you, Sally.
My pleasure. Can everyone give me another willpower save, please?
I can try.
10 for Belasco.
16 for Sparks.
23 for Thane.
12.
I can't wait for a fight to start so I can start rolling single-digit numbers when the ledge...
I already rolled my 1 and my 2, so we should be good.
All right, so you guys make your way back towards the spaceport, and you're almost there when a group of people, a group of Crosons, approach you, Zan, from the side with what looks to be some sort of weapons, kind of out and visible. Two of them have a melee weapons, some sort of like wood blunt devices, but the other two have small, like gun-looking weapons, and they look intent on harming you.
Okay, I draw my laser pistol one hand, and in the other hand a beam of light engages, and I duck for cover while yelling, "We're under attack!"
I'm going to go ahead and say I've been keeping an eye on Zan since I suspect he's infected with whatever this is.
Mm-hmm.
So look over at him. Oh, sorry, she. Do I see any signs of an impending attack?
Give me a give me a perception check, everyone. Although Zan, you probably don't need one.
15.
Yeah, that's a bad side.
Okay.
I rolled a 12. That gets me a 17.
Okay.
9.
Okay. So Belasco, you were kind of trying to keep check on Zan and sort of what she was doing. You notice her eyes kind of get really wide, and looking kind of off on one of the side roads as you're approaching the starport. And she starts to reach for her weapons, and that's when you go to look at whatever the situation might be, and you also notice this group.
Do they look hostile, like you described?
Do. Yep.
Okie dokie.
All right, and so I'm going to pause us right there and say that we're going to take a very short break.
Of course.
And then we'll come back and we will have this combat.
We call this hyperspace.
This will be a 10-minute break, so we'll be back on Eastern Time, 4:40. And
stay tuned, drifters.
Yep, we'll be right back.